Welcome back to Andersen Acres. Today we're diving into the world of driving classes for miniature horses, not goats. Even though Arwen will not shush, we're not doing anything with goats today. So we're going to talk about what driving classes are, why they're so much fun, and what you need to know to get started. Hi, darling. Hello. So, whether you're brand new to driving or just looking to figure out which class might be the best fit for your mini, this video is going to walk you through the basics, what your horse should know before stepping into the ring, and the equipment you'll need to participate. This is going to be a little bit of a series of 4 videos because I don't want to make a 45-minute video, but this will be a series of 4 videos for the next 4 weeks. So today we're just going to talk about things like what the classes are, what you might need to participate, and some of what you might need to understand what's going on in the ring while I get bothered by a fainting goat. Right, darling? Right, my doll? Because you're a good goat? Yeah, because you're a good goat. All right, so what are driving classes? At miniature horse shows, there are several different types of driving classes available. Which ones are available depends on the specific show. Not all classes are available at all shows. Now, each class has its own focus and style, and the variety means there's something to suit just about every horse and every driver. From high energy performance classes to calm and collected obstacle work, driving isn't just one event. It's a whole category with its own skills, equipment, and presentation. So if you've ever watched a well-trained miniature horse pulling a cart with elegance and precision, you know just how rewarding these classes can be. This video is focusing on the general structure of driving competitions and what you need to get started. In the upcoming videos, we will go deeper into each specific class and help you figure out where exactly your horse might fit in best. So let's talk about what your horse needs to know, because training for driving is a little more complicated than most of the other classes. So before you even think about stepping into the show ring, your miniature horse needs to be well prepared, not just to pull a cart, okay? They need, in addition to just the basic driving skills, your horse needs to be comfortable working in a variety of different environments. That means being able to drive quietly around other horses and carts, stand still without fidgeting, and back up while asked, all the while remaining calm and responsive. These are foundational behaviors that judges do expect to see. A horse that's flashy but nervous and uncooperative will struggle to do well in any class. So take your time getting your horse confident and reliable in different settings before entering the show. And remember that showing is as much about presentation as it is about partnership. If your horse feels safe and secure, that connection will show. Okay, so take your time with the training. Don't rush your mini. Make sure he understands what you're trying to get out of him. So let's talk about equipment basics, because you're going to need some equipment. Unlike a lot of classes, you're going to need more than just a halter and lead rope. Okay, when it comes to equipment, people do tend to think you need to spend a fortune, and I will admit it's not super cheap. Okay, a quality cart is not $5. Okay, you do have to spend some money, but it's also not as expensive as some people do think. While some show carts and harnesses can be really expensive, especially at higher levels, many local competitors start with simpler setups that work just as well. So if you're just doing local shows, you don't have to invest a ton of money. Okay, there will be some cost, but it's not horrible. So the standard cart you'll see in most show rings is just a wooden 2-wheeled cart with a removable floor and a basket. That's it. These are often used in both pleasure and roadster classes. There's some popular brand names like Gerald and Grabber, but at smaller shows, many exhibitors use smaller carts or easy entry carts. And so long as the vehicle is safe, well-balanced, and in good repair, you're probably fine at your local shows with whatever you can find used on your local classifieds. Take in a couple of tax sales, ask around, see if anyone has what you're looking for. maybe someone's got a used one. You don't necessarily have to buy brand new, especially if you're just going to do local shows. If you want to get more advanced and compete at higher levels, eventually you'll have to shell out the money. But at the beginning, especially if you're not sure you're going to pursue it, try to do the cheaper routes. The cleanliness and condition matter far more than the cost. A cart that's dusty or damaged is going to hurt your presentation, even if it's expensive. So take care of the equipment you have and make sure everything is clean, polished, and functional. Now let's talk about harness requirements. Okay, your harness needs to be safe, polished, so it needs to look good. Thanks. Jabba's directly behind me. I didn't know. But so the harness needs to be safe, polished, and well fitted. It doesn't have to be top of the line. Okay, you don't need the most expensive one in the world, but it does have to meet show standards. In all driving classes, horses are required to wear blinkers as well as either a side check or an overcheck. These are not optional. They're part of the safety and control standards in the ring. Now, you can choose whether you use a martingale or a breeching. Both are considered optional and are used based on your horse's individual training and needs. So there's some flexibility, but you do have to meet the basic requirements of the harness. Thank you, Saruman. You're fantastic. And I got a turkey and more. I'm getting invaded. I don't have any more snacks. I already gave you guys snacks. I'm getting invaded. That's okay. Anyway, there are some options. You can pick the harness you like as long as it meets the basic standards and things like that. You just have to make sure it is safe, well fitted, and generally has the things that are required in the class you're showing in. So some people are really drawn to flashy or elaborate harnesses. And while these look really beautiful, keep in mind that your horse is being judged on performance first. So if you want the flashy stuff, invest in the flashy stuff. Okay? That's fine. If that's what you like and that's what gives you pleasure, then that's what you should invest in. But know that you don't have to. As long as your tack is clean and it complements your turnout, you'll be just fine. Okay? You don't have to spend all the money. So just go with the flow sometimes. Now I want to talk about whips. This surprises a lot of first timers. You are required to carry a whip in every driving class, even if you never use it. It's part of the required tack in most classes. So you're going to have to get one. You do not have to use it, okay? But you have to have it. Many drivers bring kind of a dressage style whip into the ring, but for actual use in driving, especially at higher levels, a proper carriage driving whip with a lash is more effective and more appropriate. Again, you don't have to use it, and I never would. But if you're competing, you have to follow the rules. And if the rules say you have to carry a whip, then you have to carry a whip or you get disqualified. Just the way it is. You don't have to use it. In fact, especially if you don't know how to use one, you definitely should not be using one. I would never use one on Shadowfax. He did start out training in driving until he ended up with a stifle injury. And after a stifle injury, it just didn't make sense for him to continue training for that. But never would I have used a whip on him, not in a million years. In fact, he is afraid of sticks and whips. But if you are competing, you got to have it. So if you're never going to use it, it really doesn't matter how effective it is. It just needs to look the part. So that doesn't mean, now having a whip in your hand doesn't mean you're going to use it harshly or use it at all. Use it at all. You don't have to use it. It's simply there's an aid, part of the communication between you and your horse, and it's just a part of driving. If you are not going to carry a whip at all, you might not want to do competitive driving. That doesn't mean you can't do driving in your own backyard. No big deal. You can hook up your horse and have him pull you around the yard, pull you up and down the street, depending on where you live. But if you are wanting to compete, then you are probably looking at needing to invest in a whip. Again, if you're not going to use it very often or not going to use it at all, it doesn't matter. You just have to have one. In the show ring, it's just one more piece of your turnout and one more way to show you know the rules and take the discipline seriously. So again, If you don't want a whip, you don't need to use it. You just need to have it. And you don't even need to have it in your hand unless you are actually in the ring competing. Okay, you don't have to use it at home. Make sure your horse is used to it so he's not shocked when somebody is holding one. But you don't have to use it. And I wouldn't, but it's a communication tool. If you are caught using it harshly on your mini, you're going to get disqualified. Okay, just so you know that. They are very particular in shows about how you use your whip. So if you don't know how to use it, just don't use it at all. If you do know how to use it, make sure you are following, basically, you're not being cruel, okay? If there's any animal cruelty at all, you're going to get disqualified anyway, and it makes you a terrible person beating up on your mini. So don't do that. But yeah, if you're competing, you're going to have to carry a whip. I don't love it, but it is what it is. Anyway, we are going to wrap up here today because that does cover the basics of what driving classes are and what your horse should be comfortable with and what equipment you're going to need to participate. In the next video, we'll dive into what you should wear in the show ring and how to prepare on the day of your class and the typical ring procedures you can expect during a competition. They're not all identical, but there are some consistencies. So if you've ever dreamed of driving your mini in a show, it all starts here with a calm, confident horse, safe equipment, and a little bit of practice. That's about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. If you've driven in a class before or you're just thinking about getting started, drop a comment below and let me know what you're most excited or nervous about. We'll see you tomorrow.